This is the final part of my presentation about Star Wars. In this section I'm going to talk about some of the aspects of Star Wars I decided to leave until the end. I left them out early because I felt they didn't really fit in with the other material. This reasoning also applies to episodes 1, 2 and 3, because they were made many years after the first 3 episodes, and they mostly tend to only clarify the points we've already covered anyway. I left out 2 of the main Force-wielding characters. I don't think there's any doubt that Leia is an angel. She's a divine figure sent to inspire Luke and Han, and also to help bring Anakin back to his senses. It may just be a coincidence that in episode 1 Anakin asks Padme if she's an angel. Or maybe it isn't. There's an important part in the Bible in which God has had enough of one of his angels, and he decides to kick him out of heaven. Star Wars has something very much like that too. At the end of episode 6, Anakin finally realises the Emperor has got it all wrong, and so he decides to do something about it. He throws the Emperor out of his throne room to the oblivion, or hell below. This makes it clear, if it wasn't already obvious, that the Emperor is the devil. In episode 1 we learn that Anakin has no father. It isn't made 100% clear how this happened, but Qui-Gon decides that this means Anakin is the chosen one from a Jedi prophecy. In other words, he's someone of divine origin, a lot like Jesus Christ. In episode 2 you can see the beginning of Anakin's change to the dark side when he discusses how politics should work with Padme. It's a scene that has special significance because we already know what is to come. It also confirms what we learned earlier in episode 5 about his true desires. Let's have a closer look at this scene.
I don't think the system works.
How would you have it work?
We need a system where the politicians sit down and discuss the problem. Agree what's in the best interest of all the people, and then do it.
That's exactly what we do. The trouble is that people don't always agree.
Well, then they should be made to.
By whom? Who's gonna make them?
I don't know. Someone.
You?
Of course not me.
But someone.
Someone wise.
Sounds an awful lot like a dictatorship to me.
Well, if it works.
There's a few more things I want to mention from the prequel episodes. In episode 2 we see Anakin's frustration and anger that he couldn't save his mother. I particularly like the way he lashes out and blames Obi-Wan for everything. Later in episode 3 we see Obi-Wan saying that Anakin is like my brother, and then he says to Anakin, "You were my brother." This makes sense in light of what I said earlier about Anakin, Luke and Obi-Wan forming a holy trinity in Star Wars. In another scene, Senator Palpatine tells Anakin that good is a point of view. Of course this is a lie. Obi-Wan says the same thing about truth in episode 6. That was a lie too. Obi-Wan, realising that Anakin has turned to the dark side, says that only a Sith deals in absolutes. In other words, it's not possible to reason with the dark side. Power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. And finally, I'm going to conclude with what might be the most important lesson from the prequels. Whatever you do, don't even think about picking a fight with Yoda.